Lucknow with a postgraduate diploma in AI machine learning from IIIT Bangalore. He's an experienced management consultant with extensive experience in providing AI and analytics consulting to many Fortune 500 companies over the last 13 plus years. He's also a visiting faculty at IIM Kolkata, IIM Lucknow, and IIM Trichy, engaged in teaching modern day tools and techniques for students. He's an avid speaker at different industry forums and a regular guide to several MSMEs through CII. Sir, we are so lucky to have you with us today. To all those attending this masterclass, please post your questions in the chat box and we'll try to take as many as we can. Over to you, Lakshmi sir.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you, Annapurna ma'am, for giving this opportunity. Let me quickly share my screen. Please let me know when you're able to see that. Am I loud and clear?
Yes, sir, you're loud and clear, and we can see your screen too. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So, first of all, thanks for this wonderful opportunity to bring two different spectrums into one topic, like EI and AI. Both are, I would say that, okay, poles apart, but it's a wonderful thing to bring together in one platform and then talk about it. Because I see this topic and coming under two different dimensions, if I have to be honest. One is bringing emotional intelligence to a mission, which is already having AI, or can I use artificial intelligence to tap on and build the emotional intelligence in the humans? So we always talk about human versus mission conflict, isn't it? So this is one beautiful dimension of it, like EI and AI coming, bringing it together. And how should we look at this topic? So because both are having extreme positivity as well as a kind of slightly dangerous, if I have to put it, because a lot of legends are really worried about the way the AI is growing today. Like Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, Bill Gates, everyone has mentioned that AI is fascinating but equally dangerous. AI is the new electricity because if you notice, very few innovations have transformed the human race. Starting from the simple wheel, fire, internet, and today whatever we are talking about in the name of AI, very few have transformed the human race, and AI has that potential to transform the way we are leading our lives, transform our behaviors, which has already started happening, if you haven't noticed. So AI applications, the way they are coming into our life, if you notice 10 years back, we did not have too many agents around us, if I have to call AI machines as agents. Today, if you notice, there are so many agents around us. And if you take your mobile, 50% of the apps that you carry is actually AI driven. The Mother Google, for which, I mean, we check Mother Google day in, day out, right? For any of the queries that we carry, that is driven by AI. So almost like we haven't noticed that AI is transforming our lives. It is a slow incursion, a slow occupation of the technology in our day-to-day lives. That's something we will understand this better in 20-25 minutes. So before we start, I just wanted to start with a cartoon because I personally believe that a lot of cartoons convey the message which we try to convey for a long time. Like in simple terms, they are able to convey the message what you want to say. So robos, the artificial intelligence machines, the agents that we have today, luckily do not have empathy, luckily do not have this emotional intelligence that we are talking about. And when it gets, is it good or bad? That's $1 million question, isn't it? So before we pitch in, what is artificial intelligence? All of us have different perspectives, different definitions of what AI is all about. I'll try to simplify and help you out with my definition of AI. It's just two words, artificial and intelligence. Intelligence, if you notice, is broadly, I mean, if I ask you like whether you are intelligent, I'm sure all of us would say that, yes, I am intelligent, isn't it? But how do you define intelligence? Generally, going by the definitions, there are 9 types of intelligence if you have read the book. So that's something we all know. Emotional intelligence is one of them, definitely. But broadly speaking, intelligence, I can put it under 5 different dimensions. One is the learning, reasoning, perception, then linguistic intelligence, and problem solving. If any one of these 5 dimensions, if I'm able to take it, decode from the human, and code it into a machine, that I may call it as artificial intelligence. That is intelligence. I know that this is the definition of intelligence. Today, the machines are not having it. Can I take these intelligence aspects and can I give one of them to a machine? If I'm able to give that, that I would call it as artificial intelligent machine. That's a simple definition. Oh, and another definition is anything that a human does, can I make a machine do? Can I make a machine speak? Can I make a machine listen? Can I make a machine fall in love with its smartphone? If I'm able to make it do, then that is called as artificial intelligence. So broadly speaking, this is the definition that is followed in the industry. So whatever I gave as the dimension of intelligence, you'll be able to connect the dots here. So any machine which can learn from experience or which can use its learning to reason things out, that is understand why certain things are happening and recognize images which is considered to be a complex problem to solve. And if a machine can understand the language and its nuances, then that is called as artificial intelligence. And finally, creating perspectives, of course. If the machine can decode what is happening around in the environment and behave like a human by taking the right decision, then that is also called as AI. The 5 senses that God has given us. If a machine can have even one of its senses, even that is called as cognitively driven artificial intelligent machine. That's called cognitive science. That's called AI. If there is a machine that can do it, it's called AI. So this is how we broadly define artificial intelligence. Now, why am I defining this out? Because if you notice very clearly, there is a bit of intelligence which humans are carrying and machines have not competed to a great extent with the intelligence humans are carrying. It is in the primitive stages today. But for the primitive stage, look at the transformation that has happened in the last few years. If you had noticed, AI is not something new to this world. AI is 65 years old. In 65 years, this is the first time in the last 10 years we are discussing AI so much. AI has been a buzzword because the market forces that have been acting on it to create these intelligent machines have transformed it. Like new technology is coming in, the new commercialization of this whole concept has happened in the last 10 years. Thanks to the companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and all these companies, today we are able to use AI directly in our smartphones, in our laptops, through websites and other intelligently created machines. So that's what has made a difference in the last 10 years. So do we have intelligence in the machine today? Yes. Do we have emotional intelligence in the machine today? No. Then should we have emotional intelligence into the machine? That's a kind of $1 million question. That's what scientists are working today. In fact, they are making efforts to bring that emotional aspect into the machine. But is it good for us? I am definitely not sure, because considering what the legends are saying, definitely that's a doomsday scenario. I'm sure you all would have watched the movie like iRobo in the Hollywood, and as well as the Robo 2.0 in India. The kind of fiction that we are seeing today is slowly becoming a reality. In 10 years, 20 years down the line, you would start seeing missions which would fall in love with each other, missions which would fall in love with humans. And by the way, why I'm not saying the other sense, like today humans have already started falling in love with missions. Not just the smartphones. There are intelligently driven portals, websites, which make humans fall in love with those missions. Missions which can behave like a typical human. Missions which can make the humans believe that they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend in the virtual system. That's the kind of belief that machines have created in the minds of humans with the kind of intelligence that it carries. Is it emotional intelligence? Still not the case. It is still the logical intelligence which is driving all these things. But just imagine if there is going to be emotional intelligence also supporting this whole scenario. Good or bad for us? Definitely a scary thing if I'm not wrong, right? Someday, I mean, remember 15, 20 years back, we used to talk about cloning, Dolly the sheep. I'm sure all of us remember that, right? That's the kind of scare we all might have. And that's where the human system, I mean, human beings are also smart enough, right? After Dolly the sheep, are we hearing about cloning to a greater extent? We are not reading in the newspapers today, isn't it? Some larger good has taken over, if I have to put it in simple terms, to stop everything from happening, because we know that there are certain things which human beings cannot handle it, which mankind cannot handle it. So that's the change that we are seeing. Even for AI, that would be the tipping point finally, how things would be. But while we move on, if you notice, already there is a bit of, I mean, how are we trying to bring in emotional intelligence to the missions? If you notice, we are bringing lot of different science subjects together to drive this kind of intelligence in the missions, like mathematics, sociology, philosophy, everything we are bringing in there to ensure that, okay, there is a bit of emotion that would be there. It's a bit of philosophy, like how people are working together, how a mission should behave, what kind of rule system that it should follow in a society. We are slowly building that kind of emotional aspects into the mission, and we are heading towards a concept called as a self-aware AI. I mean, till all the speakers I have been talking about self-aware humans, right? How can I understand myself better, correct, as a human being? But just imagine, there is a whole community of scientists who are working towards making the mission realize what it is, being self-aware for a mission, and how should it work with the humans without harming the humans. How can it work together to solve the problems in the society? There are a bunch of scientists working on that front, and in fact these are the areas that are being decoded, like how humans are behaving today, how human beings are working in the society. Can I bring in those aspects to a society of bots, society of artificial intelligence agents? So this is how the world is heading in the AI space today. Of course, it's a bit scary. This is where, but unfortunately, we cannot avoid this at this point. This is where a lot of people are talking about bringing in ethical, moral practices and making it more responsible AI. Like, can I make a mission understand what it can do and what it cannot do? Can I make a mission more sociable, transparent, explainable? Because there are certain things which are not explainable in the AI world today, even today, despite all the growth and the development that has happened in this space. Okay, but I would like to bring up upon a slightly different perspective, like AI for emotional intelligence. Till now, I have been speaking about emotional intelligence in AI missions. Let me slightly shift to the other side. If you look at it, the practical areas that are explored in AI, these are the broad areas, just to give you a perspective. Like we have computer vision, audio processing, natural language processing, like for example, the Alexa that you have at home, or the OK Google, all these come under this the natural language processing applications. And we are able to interact with it, right? In a way, some of us are even emotionally connected with Alexa. It has become a part of the routine, if you have noticed. And our kids are using Alexa for doing the homework right from the school days. That's the kind of impact it has had in our lives now. If you notice, machine learning, the other aspect, is a very, very powerful engine which is driving this artificial intelligence world today. And that's something which is also causing a bit of manipulation of emotions, which I will come to. You will understand it when I explain. Machine learning is the core engine of artificial intelligence today, and machine learning is the golden era for AI today. Last 10 years, if at all, if you have to understand why AI is so powerful and why AI is so popular in the last 10 years, machine learning is the reason for it. Till 15, 20 years back, machines did not have the ability to learn by itself. Machines have to be fed. Machines have to be fed logic so that the machines can work with us. Today, machines have the ability to decode the data that is available, look at the patterns, and solve our problems working with the humans. That's where the power of artificial intelligence comes in. In fact, cognitive vision, there is a computer vision, NLP, audio processing, all other examples that you're seeing today, the other areas are actually driven by machine learning as the core engine. And what is machine learning? To put it in simple terms, machine gaining intelligence by itself, by looking at the data, by processing the data, by analyzing the patterns in the data. Okay, and why is it relevant in today's context, especially in this particular session? Because we all have this tendency, right, to understand, to decode even our emotions. Do you see a pattern in them? How many of you see pattern in our emotions? When do we get angry? When do we get sad, disappointed? Do you see a pattern in all of these? Have you seen a pattern in yourself? Definitely you would have seen that, isn't it? If we can understand the pattern that exists in us, if you're able to understand this better, or if you're able to understand the patterns in others, the machine can also understand the same set of patterns in that. So pattern detection, that is recognize the regularities in the data, That is the one which is creating wonders in the modern day world in the last 10 years. With more and more data getting captured from different platforms, this is doing a rocking job in the last 10 years. Let me give you some examples. These are practical applications, actually: recommendations engines, chatbots, lifetime value calculations, image recognitions. So these are some of the practical examples of machine learning and artificial intelligence in today's world. But let me help you to understand where AI is playing a role. You can see the good as well as the bad here. And I'm here to share just the facts so that you can form your own opinions about these systems, whether it is good or bad. Recommendation systems. This is the most popular application of machine learning in today's world. And how is it connected to emotions or behavior, the kind of behavior that we exhibit? There is a bit of a impact of these recommendation systems on the behavior. To give you a simple example of what recommendation system is, it is nothing but a machine which understands the pattern that we follow, and it tries to provide a recommendation on what we may like based on our past data. Like, for example, you go to YouTube, watch a video, a sudden set of recommended videos comes up on your right. Because machine keeps track of the kind of videos that you follow, that you watch, it provides a recommendation. You go to Amazon, you buy a product, there is a recommendation which immediately comes up. Like, people who bought this also have bought this. But recently, this seems to be a very attractive feature, right? When somebody recommends us saying that, okay, people who bought Maggie also buys the ketchup, let's say, for example. It sounds to be a very good tool for the corporates, very good tool for the society to use it in a better way, isn't it? But if you had noticed, recently there's a wonderful documentary in Netflix. I don't know how many of you have watched The Social Dilemma. If you haven't watched it, I would strongly recommend you to watch it, because it talks about the downside of this recommendation system and how the human behavior is slightly modified with these technology systems coming into picture. Like integrated systems, that is when you start integrating all the systems and you start collecting the data, it helps the machines to understand you as a human better. That is, you as an individual, what do you think, when do you think, and how do you think? The machines can decode that if they have data. And if that is possible, then just imagine what kind of impact it may have. This is where this concept of this documentary came into picture, like how they're able to look at it on the downside of things, like how they're manipulating the behavior. If I ask you an open question, how many of us feel that the society is very polarized over the last few years? Can you give a thumbs up if you feel that the society is polarized? All of you feel that? Yes. But if you notice, why do you think this system has come up? We may have our own reasons based on our preconceived notions and biases on different aspects. But one good analysis by the scientists showed that the recommendation system and the pattern recognition systems are the ones which are influencing us to think in a particular direction, which reinforces our behavior online. Like, for example, let's say I support a particular line of thought. Okay, just to give you an example, left or right ideology, let's say. I take that and I am a left ideologist. I will read left ideologist news more than the right ideology. That's by nature, right? If I'm a left ideology follower. And the moment I read all these articles, the machine keeps on following me. It tries to see the pattern. Okay, Lakshmi follows all left-leaned articles, so I should give him more left-leaned articles because he seems to like that. I want him to be online more, so let me give him more left-leaned articles. So I'll be thrown a lot of articles as recommendations, and I keep on reading them because I'm not exposed to the right side articles, right? The right ideology articles now. Now, when my thought process, when my ideas are reinforced again and again with a bunch of articles, don't you think I will have a very strong opinion about every topic that I'm going to discuss? Don't you think my behavior online is slightly getting manipulated here? Because the machines are throwing us based on our past behavior. This is where it is playing with our emotional intelligence. The AI is playing with AI here. This is one shocking thing actually, because people do not realize it. And most of our kids, when they use social media platforms, when they use, when they go, I mean, even a normal news article that you read, Google News, if you check it, it runs on recommendation systems. Based on what you read, the recommendations are provided. So that's where the risk comes up. This is one example. Let's take the next one. Computer vision and emotions. I mean, computer vision is nothing but a camera which can capture everything that happens in the world. And can you use a powerful machine behind, like machine learning model, which can decode what the camera sees? Can you see a pattern through the eyes of the camera? And can you identify something? To give you a simple example, Chinese glass, which is a most popular example of computer vision. A policeman can wear a Chinese glass, stand in the watchtower, let's say, and just look at different things that are happening around in a crowded place. And every face, every person who walks there, the face can be recognized, and the face can be matched with the records. And if somebody with a criminal background is walking in that road, immediately the alert would come to the policeman saying that, look, this person carries a criminal record. Can you arrest him immediately? So it's just a glass with a camera, and that kind of impact the computer vision is creating. Okay. This is the most popular example. Even during the COVID situations, there have been experiments that were conducted, and fairly successful experiments, which can detect just by the camera impressions, retina scan and everything, we can identify whether a person has COVID or not. So the technology has advanced to such an extent without doing a test actually. This seems to be a very exciting one, right? Again, the positive applications of it are amazing, no doubt about it. But just take it and bring it to an aspect like there are some organizations which are trying to identify by putting on a camera on top of the desktop to check whether the person is distracted at work. Is he working continuously? Is he looking at the camera? Is he feeling stressful in the work? Is he fully joyful? I mean, some human resources companies are trying to track using computer vision with the cameras to monitor. Okay, police follows the same thing. In fact, if you notice, police, I mean, LYPD, I believe, if I'm not wrong, they are trying to decode where the crime is going to get committed, when the crime is going to committed, by monitoring the individuals in a particular place. If somebody is standing idle for a long time with a kind of body language which matches to the pattern of the terrorist, let's say, the police captures them. Now, the same logic, they're bringing it to the corporate workplace, and cameras are being fit in. Now, look at the emotional aspects that would come in along with this one, this kind of the workplace that gets created. Machine intelligence, again, brought in for a different reason. And this one is an interesting example. Again, this comes from one of the documentaries that I watched. I spoke about machine learning. By now, you know what machine learning is. And the social media skills. So if you notice, I mean, all of us are active in some kind of a social media platform. Yes. Yeah, either Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever the platform is. There is another popular platform called Tinder, if you have heard of it and if you have used it. There was a case against Tinder in US, and a lady won a case against Tinder because suddenly on the night of New Year, that is December 31st night, she came back home, she felt lonely, and she was chatting with 16 people in Tinder on that night. Okay, this is the context in which it has happened. And there is a score that gets calculated based on how much active you are, okay, in a particular platform. And that score has a lot of parameters coming in, like a typical machine learning from the data. Tinder has a score which calculates this, and finally it tells you what emotion you are in. Are you feeling lonely, or are you feeling sad, disappointed, happy? Depending on that, the communications would reach your inbox in Tinder. 16 people you are chatting means Tinder is learning that, okay, on that night you are feeling lonely, so you don't have a boyfriend. Should I suggest more? And this lady observed this pattern, made a case against Tinder, and Tinder gave her 800-page document to show what kind of data the company is capturing about her. This is her data in 800 pages. Whatever she has done in that platform, the whole thing has been captured. And this lady was shocked to see that. Like, is this the data that I'm sharing with the company? Maybe she did not share it exclusively. But the point is, machines are smart enough to decode a lot of things based on your behavior. Just by looking at the screen, scrolling, watching videos, typing, smileys that you use, every data, everything that you do in the online world is captured, there is a pattern to it. Machines try to find the patterns and they check your emotions. They are trying to tap your emotions. And the moment they find your emotions, they know how to manipulate your emotions too. Okay, that's where this is making a wonder. I mean, if it's a powerful tool, if I have to put it in simple terms. If it goes into the wrong hands, it's a problem. Okay, so that's something this has the way it has changed. And the last one is NLP and relationships. As I told you earlier, your soulmate might actually be a robot. This has started happening already. Like there are a lot of platforms where people forget that there is a real world. They move into the virtual world by logging into those platforms. They fall in love with the virtual agents where the soulmates are the bots, which can understand, which can speak in a better way. So that's something which has been happening, which is a social disorder now, unfortunately. It's more of a psychological disorder which has been created. And yes, we need to find a solution to it. This is a new addiction that has come in. So how can we find a solution to it? That's something which people are working on it again. But these are some of the things which I wanted to share it across to tell you that when machines without emotional intelligence, when they're able to manipulate, when they're able to do wonders, just imagine if machines have emotional intelligence. And you also saw different aspects like how machines can manipulate your emotions also to an extent. Okay, so EI and AI are beautiful concepts, and EI is something which is needed in the AI world, especially when everybody is focused on data-driven decision making and forgetting the human aspects of things. No doubt about it. I just wanted to touch upon the other side of the world so that you get a feel of what AI is bringing onto the table, and are we emotionally intelligent to counter all these things which AI is bringing to the table today. So that's the last point I would like to leave you with, so that you can think and understand where the world is heading through all these technologies.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Wonderful. That's what it is. And I think I have not told my vision, my mission of emotional analytics, because that's the fusion word of emotions and analytics. And you aptly put it. I was waiting for your session because that's what is the dream of emotional analytics too, to see that how AI can bring so many technologies and so many things, but what would happen to human? Is human emotionally intelligent to counter what AI is bringing onto our table? If not, then it will become a disaster.
Exactly.
So that's what he's trying to tell. And even that is one point. The second point is, how can we leverage on AI and AI? How can we leverage on AI to build a good EI for us, actually?
Exactly.
So that's the other thing, because today, as he's given so many examples, how can we measure stress? How can we measure anyone getting to fatigue levels? How can we measure happiness? How can we do engagements if supposing someone is disengaged with organizations or in any of the ecosystems? So these are some of the powerful tools which we have. Utilizing those tools and understanding machine and putting machine to our usage, which has been always with us. Like now technology is connecting us. And that's how we should use AI, but not give power to AI to rule us.
Correct.
And AI has a lot of power. It can really destroy us if we are not able to use it properly. Thank you, Lakshmi, for the wonderful insights.
No
I'm
worries.
sure we will not have much questions as it is. We will tell only excellent session, but I'll bring you back at a very good masterclass and giving you more time, and then understanding every bit of that technology in more depth and more case studies, because I know you have a lot of case studies to present too.
Definitely, Annapurna.
Thank you so much for us.
Thank you very much. One last comment from my end, which I would like to add.
Sure.
Generally, people feel that it's AI versus humans, but that is not the case. It is AI and humans coming together for solving better problems.
Absolutely.
So that's the perception that we should all carry with respect to technology.
Absolutely.
Yes, back to you, Annapurna.
Both will complement each other.
Yes.
Both have to complement each other, and that's what human can do it also.
True.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have this is yes. Lakshmi, I have only a small token of appreciation for you, and thank you, my dear friend, my brother. Thank you so much. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Annapurna, we can hear you.
Because I have a power cut, and that's what is technology does that. So for sharing your insights and being the speaker, I know you have one more session just going on. Thank you so much. We have planted a tree. Of course, I have to take the liberty to being in Bangalore. I will tell it's Karnataka. So we have planted your tree also in Karnataka. And thanks to GAPS Digital Solutions for sponsoring this tree for us. At this moment, I want to take 2 announcements to be done. And with these 2 announcements, I will just let you go immediately. One, we have planted 55 trees after this WEI summit for our global warming and for our environment. This kudos to our sponsorship gratitude partner GAPS Digital Solutions for sponsoring this 55 trees, each tree on each individual's names.
Great.
And we have also put one tree on WEI Summit logo's name that has been created by one wonderful person called Manish, and we have planted a tree on his name. Thank you. The second thing, my announcement is with all that what you have done for us as a small contributions which you have given us while we have collected in our registrations the 100 rupees and plus, we got around 20,000 rupees, and MEQ Academy and Emotionalitics have the matched that amount, and 40,000 rupees is there with us right now to give it to the school children of our country. No school child should be deprived of learning at this point of COVID. So we are doing some part from our side. If anyone wants to still contribute in this cause, we are open. Please reach out to us. Thank you, Lakshmi, for that wonderful.
Thank you very much, Annapurna. Thank you very much, Priyanka, for coordinating. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you. I know you should rush. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guys, stay tuned.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you.